Hello everyone! Today we're going to begin our final copy of our 1-point perspective color wheel city. To begin, you'll need a square piece of paper and something to trace a circle. Once you trace, try to make sure that your circle goes all the way around nice and smooth and that you didn't bump your tracer as you're tracing. Locate the center just by eyeballing it and put a dot there. Then you're going to begin by dividing it up. And notice you can barely see my lines because I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my pencil. We're dividing up the circle into 12 pie pieces. You must use 12 because this is also functioning as a color wheel. So each building is drawn into a pie piece, and each pie piece is a different color on our color wheel. We're packing in a ton of learning for this lesson. The center dot is going to be our vanishing point. So all the buildings are going to look like they stretch up towards the sky. Make sure you count your pieces to ensure that you have 12. Right now I only have 10. So I will have to divide up 2 of my bigger pie pieces in half, giving me the 12 pieces that I need to begin. The outer circle of this lesson is going to be the ground, and that means the inner part of the circle is the sky. The next step, and this is optional, but you could go around your circle and just mark different roof heights. So you can erase these later if you decide you want to make a building shorter or taller, but it's important that the buildings are all drawn uniquely, and that means we're going to get kind of an interesting shape for our skyline. So you decide if you want to draw all of these first, or you can just start drawing your buildings. I have an extra step if you know you want certain buildings certain colors. Like if you're going to make a red Target or a green Starbucks, you should, using the color wheel, label the outside of your drawing, writing the names of the colors. So that way, if you want certain buildings certain colors, you can draw them in those spots on your paper. When you begin drawing your buildings, again, the ground is the outer circle. The building is going to all point towards the middle, and you want to use a ruler and draw lightly. So using the packet, there are a ton of different examples that you could use in there. If you would like to draw the buildings more correctly so that they are in 1-point perspective, you can line up your ruler with that center dot, the vanishing point. So that way you can kind of create some guidelines helping you create the right angles for doors, windows, and the side. So you can see in this example, I'm making a skyscraper, and it's almost like 3 rectangle shapes stacked on top of each other. But you'll notice that the rectangles in this lesson are going to look a little bit more like trapezoids. That's showing that 1-point perspective. Everything is like angling up towards the center. And so I'm creating a bunch of guidelines. Again, this part is optional. If you want to delve deeper into this and work on your 1-point perspective skills, this would help you out with other lessons. These guidelines I'm going to draw even lighter. And so I made some dots on the bottom. I'm matching my ruler up from the vanishing point in the middle and just kind of shifting it around to create these guidelines. Once my guidelines are done, you can see I'm using those to help me with the placement of these arched windows. So for my arched windows, it's just an upside down rainbow shape with a flat horizontal line on the bottom. Again, this is just optional, but the idea is that the windows are going to appear smaller as they're higher up on the building. And as I get further down on the page, they're going to start to appear larger. This creates the illusion of 1-point perspective. From here, you'll just continue working building by building, drawing lightly and making sure each triangle pie piece has a different type of building. You can use the packet, but you can also use your own ideas. These could be like imaginary buildings. They could be real buildings. If you want to take businesses that your family goes to or ones in our community, those are things that you can include as well. When you're finished drawing your buildings, grab an eraser and erase all of those extra guidelines. So any line that's stretching beyond a roof, headed towards the middle, and that vanishing dot in the center all get erased, and that open space is now going to be the sky. After you're done erasing, grab your Sharpies and begin to carefully trace your buildings. Feel free to use a regular size or a skinny Sharpie, or you can mix and match depending upon how much detail you're trying to capture. To make your artwork look extra neat and gain some craftsmanship points, erase your pencil lines after tracing. Okay, now we're on to coloring. You might have written the names of the colors and where they're going earlier on. If not, you could do that now. But it is important that the names of the colors and the colors go in color wheel order. So you do not have to start with red, but wherever you start in the color wheel, you need to follow the order of the color wheel in order to get full points. So I'm going to start with red. I don't know why. I think it's because I wanted the Chinese restaurant red. So on either side of my red building, I could either go red-orange or red-violet. It has to be one of those two. And it doesn't matter which one I put on either side because it's a circle. And so if you think about a clock, it could go clockwise or counterclockwise. Hopefully this makes sense and I'm not completely losing you. But you're going to use watercolor paint and small brushes and paint carefully, staying inside the lines, working on one building per color of the color wheel. So you can see I'm following the color wheel. My next building is going to be red-violet. So red-violet is that tertiary color that comes from mixing the color red, a primary, and the color violet, a secondary. Continue following around the wheel. If you make a mistake with watercolor, like look, I got out of the space just a little bit. With watercolor, you wet the mistake. So I rub a little bit of water over the mistake. Use a paper towel to blot it up. So it will kind of suck up some of the paint. It's not going to erase it completely, but it will lighten it. So keep that in mind if you make a mistake along the way. When you're done painting the buildings, you can paint the sky. Just keep in mind that when two areas of watercolor are wet and they happen to touch, the watercolor will run. And so you want to make sure your buildings are dry and you're trying to stay in the lines. Plan out what time of day it is going to be in your city. Is it daytime, nighttime, sunrise, sunset? And then use those colors accordingly. So in mine, I do end up doing a daytime one, but I do a blend of two different blues. So a more lighter blue in the center and a little bit more darker blue on the edge, just to create some interest. We are on the home stretch. Your final step after all the watercolor paint has dried is to use crayons, markers, colored pencils in the colors that match the color on your color wheel, and you're just enhancing the colors and bringing out some details. So you can see there's not a huge difference between the red marker and the paint. It's just slightly brighter. You could also use white color pencil too to try to add highlights to things. And this is all about craftsmanship, making your artwork look a little cleaner, have some accents that stand out and kind of catch the eyes of a viewer. Don't skip this step. It is really important. Once you've gone over everything, then carefully cut out your circle, upload it onto Artsonia, making sure you put a white banner or big piece of paper behind it so you get a great photo. I'm sure you had a lot of fun and lots of learning in this lesson. There was so much going on, and I know it is one of our longer projects. So congratulations for completing this assignment.